Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Room 2. So we are on a boat. I'm on a boat. Don't you ever forget. Anyways, this is the last episode of The Room, so welcome to the finale of The Room 2. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite anime. There's a lot. I think only one of them is a movie. I know I like more anime movies, but I can't think of them at the time, or at this time right now. Brain empty. So we're just gonna start. I like watching the shows more than anything, but we'll start with Toradora, or Toradora. I don't know how to say it exactly, but Toradora is a super cute romance anime. Also, you will see I'm turning this the wrong way. And it takes me a bit to figure it out, because head empty, no thoughts. This is so funny watching me struggle. Anyways, Toradora is this really adorable little, slice of life romance anime where these two people who everyone's kind of afraid of. There's Taiga. She's tiny, but she's super fierce, and she will beat up anyone, and she does. And then there is the dude whose name I always forget, but I absolutely love him. He's got blue hair, and he's supposed to have a mean face, like a mobster looking kind of face, and so people typically don't mess with him. But he's a really super sweet dude that is also a neat freak, and he has a crush on Taiga's best friend, and Taiga has a crush on his best friend, and so they both end up butting heads, but also decide to kind of work together to try and get them with each other's best friends. And then they end up falling in love instead. So it's really cute, it's really fun, it's really great. I absolutely love it. I wish that there was a season 2 because of how it ends, but it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And it's really cute. It's one of my favorite anime. I absolutely love it so much. Next is Death Parade. So if you haven't seen Death Parade, it's super great. First episode is pretty tame, actually. There's a little bit of blood in there, but pretty tame, but it I don't know. The first episode I feel is kind of unique in comparison to the other episodes because it's the introductory one, so it's a little different, but it's also the same. So there's this place where people go to determine basically whether or not they're going to heaven or hell after they die. But they go to this place and they have to play games. And it kind of is a way to determine how good or how evil their soul is. The truth of their soul and their hearts and all that kind of stuff. And that's what determines which way they end up going. And I don't remember anyone's names, but the dude with the white hair, he's great. I love him. But there's all these different people that are basically reapers, I guess. That I freaking forget what they're called. It's been a couple years since I've seen this anime. But it's very casino-like in that sense because they're all playing little games, and people who go there don't automatically know that they're dead. They just don't really remember how they got there or what they're doing there, but then they're yeah, okay, I guess I'll play some games until I can leave. And then as it goes on, they remember their death. And it really, the games really push them to a critical moment that determines, that shows their true character basically. So Death Parade is actually really interesting. It's really cool. I want there to be a second season of this one also, because there are some questions that are left unanswered. But damn, it's a good one. It's a really good one. It's only one season. Same thing with Toradora. I've noticed most of my favorite anime, sadly, are only one season, and I wish that there was a second season. I just want 2-season animes, and that's it. Anything more than 2 seasons, and I'm there's too much. It's too much. It's just too much. But 1 season is never enough, unless it's a really, really long season, which they never are. So, Ouran High School Host Club is my next one. Again, it's another one that only has 1 season, and I wish that it had a second one. I know that there's more that happens in the manga, though. So, I could technically go and read the manga, but I want there to be a second season. I don't think there will be, based on some of the the bad stuff that happened with one of the voice actors, so I really don't think that there will be. But man, Ouran High School Host Club is just great. I love it. And Greg Ayres is in it. I love Greg Ayres. So this one is about this girl who goes to like this private school. It's a really rich, like preppy kind of private school. Like the best of the best in Japan go there, and she ends up going there on a scholarship, and she's poor. So she ends up going there on a scholarship, but she's cut her hair short, and because like someone stuck gum in her hair for some reason, so she cut off all her hair. But she's fairly androgynous. I can't say that word. Androgynous. Apparently, like she's both incredibly beautiful, but also fairly androgynous, because when she first meets the boys in the Ouran High School Host Club, they all think that she's a boy because of her short hair and because she's wearing like a suit rather than a skirt. Like she's wearing the pants and coat uniform rather than the skirt uniform. But she accidentally breaks a vase, and it costs so much money, and she doesn't have any money. So they basically make her join the host club in a way. And first episode is really funny, watching them all discover that she's actually a girl. But it's really good. It's really cute in some ways. Because of its age, there are certain parts of it that are fairly problematic, but it's also a very like open-minded show, I guess you can say, in a way. There are some bits that can be seen as a little problematic now, but they were like those things that were more acceptable then, and that's the only reason why they're a little problematic. But other than that, it's a very good show. It's super adorable. Love Tamaki. He's super cute. It's also just like a really great like time waster kind of a show, because it doesn't ever get like super duper serious to the point where it's like really intense. It's just like a fun slice of life everyday little show that gets serious every now and then, but like not super serious. So it's really fun, really cute, super love it, wish there was more of it. Kakegurui is a good one. This one is where there's like this high school that everyone like gambles in. It's like a gambling high school basically. And if you owe too much money, then you become like a dog, basically, and you're kind of like a slave to the other classmates who you owe money to until you can pay them off. But then there's the catch of like the only way that most of these kids can pay off their debts is by gambling more, but then you end up getting yourself more and more in debt. And so there's that whole thing, but then there's this one girl who comes to the school, and she is a compulsive gambler. She absolutely lives for gambling. She doesn't care what it costs her. And so she's like super freaking crazy, and I absolutely love it. It's amazing. And she like throws the whole school into disarray and catches the eye of the president, like the I don't know if she's the class president or what, but she's like the president of the school, but she's also a student. So she's not the principal or anything like that. She just like is in charge of all the gambling stuff. And she ends up catching her eye, and they're both like of the same mind, where they both love gambling, but like also different in a way. And it just gets really intense. I want there to be a third season. This one actually does have 2 seasons, which I'm very happy about, but I want there to be a third season. This one's the only one where I'm cool with there being a third season, just based on how it ended. But it's really, really good. Kakegurui. If you're looking for some like really super crazy stuff that also has fan service in it, this one's pretty good. I kind of wish it was a little bit darker, but I'm okay with like where it's at. It's great. Also, there's like a ton of cheating in there, so it's great to watch her like figure out people's cheats and like mess with them and make them start sweating, while she's just like, oh my god, so much fun, I can't believe it, this is so fun. And everyone else is like, holy shit, oh my god, I'm so ruined, and she's like, haha, it's so great. It's wonderful. It's really fun to watch. The Future Diary is really super awesome. You might notice that I really like dark animes in general. The Future Diary is pretty cool because it's like I don't know how to describe it necessarily, but like this kid who's kind of a recluse, he writes in his diary on his phone all the time, but he does it like 2:15 so and so did this, 2:15 this thing happened, like 3:18 this thing happened, like whatever. He writes in it like that. He's just writing down the stuff that's happening around him. And one day he gets offered the option of like participating in this game where you can become a god, but you have to be the last one alive. And so there's like 12 or 13 people, I think, that are involved in it. Maybe 15, I can't remember exactly. But there's a certain number of people that are involved in it. They all get future diaries. So their phones have diaries on them, but their future diaries are all special. So like his is what he can see around him that's happening, but it never actually shows him in his diary, because he doesn't talk about himself in the diary very often. It's just what's happening around him. Meanwhile, there's this really super crazy girl that's like madly, crazily in love with him, and her diary is only him because she is crazy obsessed with him. So her diary is all about him. So his blind spot is himself, but when he works with her, they have all the information they need because her diary is all about him. Anyways, so like she's kind of trying to work with him so that they can both survive and become gods somehow. And like, so it's a killing game. It gets really dark. It gets kind of gory sometimes. There's a little bit of time travel sort of a thing, or dimension hopping that happens in the game or in the show, but they do it really well. And also like, this is like he's like super not into her and she's crazy into him, and she's fucking insane. She's super insane. And I love when characters are really, really insane in anime. I absolutely love it. I adore it. I love the chaos that they cause. It's so crazy. So she's that oddball. But you discover some secrets about her and her past and like the reality of the game and all of this stuff. And it gets really intense and really crazy, and like the way that the anime ends is kind of really sad. It's like a little bittersweet, but like you kind of discover what happens afterwards a little bit, and it's fine. And I kind of wish that there was a second season of this one, but like the ending is pretty happy. I both ship and do not ship the main guy and the crazy girl, because she is freaking insane and he's not that into it, but then it ends up becoming a thing where like he does develop feelings for her somehow. And for me, I'm like, dude, you're insane if you love her. But also when they're together as a couple, I'm like, okay, but you're both kind of insane, and so I like it. You're both like a different kind of insane, but you like even each other out in a weird way. And so I like you guys together. It's really crazy, but Future Diary, really good, super crazy, definitely a little bit gory. If you like those anime where it's like a killing game sort of a thing, then you'll probably like this one. Eden of the East. This one is really, really difficult to describe. There are like missiles being shot at Japan. There's this dude that has amnesia. He also has a phone with some like a bunch of digital money, and there's like this person in the phone that like, I don't know, they have an objective and there's multiple people. It kind of reminds me of Future Diary a little bit, but also not. Like certain people are given this little like phone butler person who can like do things for them. They can just contact him and be like, hey, I need you to help me do blah 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 blah. But it's like a digital AI dude. It's not an actual person. And then they have like $10 million or something like that each, and they have to use that money to try and save Japan or something like that. And there's this girl who ends up finding him, like the main dude, and like they end up working together and kind of developing a really good friendship, although I ship them so hard. And I don't really remember a lot of it because it's been years since I watched it, but I remember watching Eden of the East and going like, this is super cool and really insane. But it's kind of similar to Future Diary, just in the sense that all of these people, like a certain circle of people from various walks of life, like have access to the same thing with their cell phone, this like godlike thing that, and then they have an objective and they have to do those things, and if they try and leave or they use that money for selfish reasons and they don't use that money for their objective or whatever, then they get terminated. So for me, I was like, okay, that's kind of similar but also not, because it's not really a killing game, but they are trying to save Japan in some way. And like the main character girl somehow gets involved with it all, and I don't remember exactly everything, but Eden of the East was really fun to watch. There's a lot of mystery in it because the main dude has amnesia, and so he's trying to figure out how he's involved in all of this stuff, and like I don't know, it's just really, really great. It's a really fun watch. There's 1 season and then 2 movies, and then it's over. And I feel like that's another way that I think is really good to, like, if anime creators don't want to do a full 2nd season, just give us a movie. You know, just give us 1 movie to like really tie things together, especially when you leave things kind of open-ended, like in Toradora or on High School Host Club, where like the couple kind of gets together, but they're also maybe not really together, but they're kind of together, but maybe not. And it's just like, but we want to know, we want to see them be happy together. You know, we want to know what happens to all of the other people too. It's not quite a full bow tie kind of closed story. There's a little bit open that we want to see. Anyways, Psycho-Pass. This one is in like a world where people's I forget what they call it exactly. I mean, they have like a certain level of mentality that they reach where they become like psychotic basically, and then they become a danger to society, and there are cops that then track these people's psychopasses. That's what that number is. And if they have a high enough psychopaths, they are either arrested or potentially murdered. Or I say murdered, but like shot. I mean, dude, they explode with the guns. They have these little guns where it's like, okay, if your psychopath is pretty high but not so high that you are probably going to kill someone, you're not totally in danger, it'll just tase you. But if your psychopath reaches above a certain quotient, then it will explode you. So like, don't mess. So these people's psyches are being tracked constantly, and like they use other criminals to help the police to like find certain criminals or certain serial killers or whatever. And there's like it gets kind of complicated, but it's a very, very cool series. It can be gory sometimes, but there's like a lot of tension. The main character, the main like dude, the main criminal dude, super attractive. Love his voice actor. His English voice actor, and he's also the same English voice actor for the main guy, Hay, in Darker Than Black, which is also on this. So I'll talk about Darker Than Black super fast. Darker Than Black is in this world where something happened with the sky, and there's a Heaven's Gate and a Hell's Gate. Oh, by the way, I'm just waiting for right here. It's not a lot of fun to watch, but I'm just waiting for hints because I'm completely stuck. I do this a couple of times. But like, there's a Heaven's Gate and a Hell's Gate that open up in the sky. It changes the way that society functions. There's these people called contractors who get special abilities, but they have a compulsion where if they use their special powers, they have to act on the compulsion. So like, if they have the ability to make people's heads explode, for instance, every time that they do that, maybe they have to like bite the tip of their thumb off, or they have to cut themselves or something like that. It's usually a self-harm sort of a thing. Or they have to strangle themselves for 30 seconds or something like that. So they have this, that's why they're contractors. And so those people are like used as assassins and spies and that kind of a thing. And we follow Hay, who is one of these assassin dudes, and he's also trying to find his sister and find out what happened to her. And so there's a lot of mystery in there while he's also fighting other contractors for this thing called the Syndicate. And yeah, I don't know, it gets kind of complicated with some things. I haven't seen it in years. There's a 2nd season which I haven't watched yet, but I recommend the 1st season. It's really, really good if you like darker animes but also kind of sci-fi-ish animes. It's really nice. Tokyo Ghoul. I feel like everyone knows about Tokyo Ghoul, and if you don't, it's really freaking awesome. But also like so sad. But so bittersweet at the end. Like, I love the way that it ends, because he's finally happy. But it's like a sad smile. Oh my god. The feels I get for Tokyo Ghoul, man. This is one of those anime that I have seen so many times. This is probably my favorite anime, like, of all time. I love the angst that's in there. I love the psychology aspects of it that are in there. I love the world that they're in. I would never want to be in that world, keep that in mind, but I love the way that the world is developed. My only issue is that, like, in the first season, they make it clear that ghouls cannot eat human food, right? Ghouls cannot eat human food. They think it is absolutely disgusting. They will throw it up. They cannot eat it, and also it harms them. It makes them sick. They make that clear, that human food is harmful to them, but humans are not. They will eat humans. But then in the second season or the third season, I can't remember how many seasons there are. Was it? I think it's the third season, the very last one. It shows the main guy, whose name I'm blanking on, and, like, his group of ghoul kids that he's like training and everything. It shows all of them eating human food. And I'm like, why are they eating human food? And we know that it's human food because there are two humans there eating the food with them, the exact same food. And there's no way that those humans are eating other humans, like, made into food. There's no way. They're all eating human food. But none of them are getting sick. None of them. Not a single one of them are getting sick. And it doesn't make any sense to me that they had one thing, like one main ghoul characteristic in season 1 that is then changed in season 3. It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. It was like a tiny little thing that I had an issue with, but other than that, the series is so good. It's so fantastic. This one is 3 seasons. So good. So freaking good. I love it. Violet Evergarden. If you haven't seen this one, please watch it. It is the most beautiful anime that I have ever seen. The animation is so beautiful. Oh, and the heartbreak in it. Oh my god. Oh my god. So good. So I think there's only 1 season, but then there's like 3 or 4 movies. But they're all so good. So Violet is this girl who was in a war, and she is I can't remember what they called her, but she's essentially a doll. She was trained to be in war. She doesn't really understand human emotions or human feelings, because she was trained from a very young age to be a killing machine, basically. To follow orders, to follow commands, to not have emotions, and all of that kind of stuff. So she really struggles with connecting to humans in that way because she doesn't really understand them, but she does connect to humans better than other humans connect to humans because she just finds a way, and it's really great. And once the war is over, also she's completely devoted to Gilbert, and I ship them so hard. So much. I love them. But, like, Gilbert maybe ends up dying. I'm not gonna spoil that, whether or not he's actually dead, but he maybe ends up dying, and she kind of has to move on with her life. She loses both of her arms. Now she's got metal arms. They clink and it's really cool, but a friend of Gilbert's takes her in. She becomes an auto memory doll. So this is before the time of phones. This is also in, like, a fantasy-esque kind of version of the world. So, like, it's still older, but, like, they get telephones eventually. But, like, before that happens, they write letters, and a lot of people either don't know how to write or they don't know the words to say, and so they hire auto memory dolls to be like, this is, like, stay with me for a couple of days, this is what I want to be written, I don't know how to say this. And so the auto memory doll will write what the person wants them to write, either word for word or, like, this is how I'm feeling and I don't know how to put it into words, but they'll write it, they'll get the message across, they'll deliver the letters. So Violet becomes one of these auto memory dolls, and she writes these letters for people, and she completely changes people's lives. And it's so, like, so many of the stories are so wonderful and heartbreaking. I cried, like, every single episode. It's such a good series, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful, like, visually and in every other way. It's just such a good show. Absolutely recommend it. Beastars. If you're a furry, you'll like Beastars. I don't consider myself to be a furry because I'm not, like, sexually into furry dudes, but, like, I would totally let Legoshi, dude. Legoshi is the best. I want to pet Legoshi and snuggle with him. But this one is in a world of animals, and it gets kind of dark. It starts off with, like, a murder happening at the school, and no one really knows who it is. In season 2, you find out who it is. There's, like, all of this other stuff that happens in the show that I don't really want to get into, but Legoshi is a wolf, And then there's a rabbit whose name I'm blanking on, but he kind of falls in love with the rabbit, but he's unsure if it's like, is it lust? Like, am I wanting to have sex with this rabbit, or is it my hunger? Am I hungry for is my hunger for her a lust kind of one, like a sexual one, or is it just in my nature to want to eat her, sort of a thing? And she, in the meantime, is like, I'm also attracted to him, but do I want him to eat me? Like, is it in my nature to want to be eaten? And that's why I like him, or do I like him because I like him, sort of a thing. And there's like all of this other stuff that's happening in there. There's the deer Louis, and he becomes involved in like a crime syndicate thingy with the lions, and like it's really great. It's super awesome. I absolutely love this show. I want to read the manga, but I love the show, and I'm waiting for season 3. Also, Legoshi's English voice actor, so hot. Oh my god, I love his voice. It's so good. Parasite. I don't know if I'll get through all of these, but Parasite, the Maxim, I think is what it's called. Parasite the Maxim. Super good. This dude, there's like these alien like creatures. I can't remember exactly, but they eat humans, and but they're parasites, so they need a human host in order to survive. And there's one that ends up like getting caught on this dude. Like it usually makes their way into the brain, but for some reason this guy, like, I think he gets it stuck in his arm, and so his thumb becomes the parasite. That's where the parasite lives, and so he and the parasite have to kind of coexist, because usually the parasite will just take over the host's mind completely, but because he's got it stuck in his hand, he has full control of his body, except the host also kind of has, or the parasite also has control of his body. So like they have to work together, but they fight other parasites. They try and like save people. It gets really tragic in a lot of parts. It's very dark. It's a little similar to Tokyo Ghoul, in the sense that like the main dude, his name starts with a K, Kaneki is a human who then becomes half ghoul. And so in Parasite, it's this dude who like has a parasite attached to him, so they both are kind of reconciling this new lifestyle that they have together, with this like darker entity that's part of them now. And I also really like this one. I think the ending is a little bittersweet also for this one, because the parasite, well, I don't even want to get into it, but it's like it's a little bittersweet the way that it ends. But like it's a good ending, but it's also kind of sad. And I don't know, man, they just go through a lot of stuff. Like I said, at one part it gets really, really tragic, and like that episode where things happen, it just kills me. It's so freaking sad. Kill la Kill is super great. It's like, I love the art style for it. I don't even know how to describe it other than lots of people, particularly 2 girls wearing skimpy outfits with big ol' scissor swords, fighting each other in the school where a lot of fighting stuff happens. I know that there's like a hierarchy there for fighting. There's like 1 star, 2 star, 3 stars. There's this one girl who becomes friends with our main character, who is like the new girl, and she's like super preppy and happy and everything, and like there's all this other stuff happening. There's this woman who has like rainbow-ish kind of hair, like pearlescent rainbow hair, and like I don't remember the plot very well. I will say that I do not remember the plot super well, but I remember like digging the fight scenes. I remember thinking this anime was really funny. I loved the art style. I love the world that they're in. It's again one of those things where I'm like, I would never want to be in that world personally, but I love the world that they built and the way that they did it. And like the whole thing's just fun. It's just a really, really fun anime. It never gets like super dark and serious, but it is a really fun, like action-packed anime. So yeah, I really like that one. Already talked about Darker Than Black. A Silent Voice. So this is the movie that I was talking about, that's on this list. If you haven't seen A Silent Voice, it's really good. It's like 2 hours long. It's also really sad. It's this kid who was, when he was younger, picking on this deaf girl, and like he and all his friends, they were all just like little punks, and they would pick on this deaf girl and like take out her hearing aids and all this kind of stuff. and she was always really, really kind and really nice no matter what, and he was just an asshole. And then something happened at one point, I don't quite remember, but something happened concerning bullying with her that made everyone, all of his friends, turn on him, and they were like, well, it was him, it wasn't us, it was him the whole time, like all this kind of stuff. And he's like, wait, no, what? It wasn't just me. And they're like, no, yes it was, you're the one. And so he kind of loses all of his friends, he becomes a pariah himself, he starts getting bullied, and so he just kind of keeps to himself. But somehow when he's older, he's like, I want to apologize to this girl that I picked on, because I was a kid and I was dumb and I was wrong, and I want to make it up to her if she will let me. And so he kind of does that. He apologizes to her. He starts having a friendship with her, and like he deals with a lot of insecurities, a lot of anxiety, and all of this stuff because of what happened to him also. But it's just like, it's a really great, super great anime. I cried so many times with it, and I've seen it multiple times. It's really, really good though. It's such a good anime. Like, please watch this one. A Silent Voice is so good. It deals with dark stuff too. There's a little bit of, like, there's talk of suicide in it, which is a very heavy theme to talk about. There's like I said, there's anxiety, there's definitely mental health issues that are in there, and it's just really good. The way that they portray it, the art style for it, the way that the story is told, the characters in it, it's all really good. It's a really, really good movie. I highly recommend that one. Blue Exorcist is really good. It's about this dude who's like half demon, and he has a twin brother who is not half demon, potentially. But he's like half demon, and they were raised by a priest, and like the priest basically was, I think, either kind of trying to subdue the demon aspect of the kid or hide it from him or something. I can't quite remember. But basically, they want to become like demon slayers also. And this isn't Demon Slayer, I know. Demon Slayer is not on this list. I do like Demon Slayer, but it's not one of my favorites. Not to say that it's bad, I'm just not nearly as obsessed with it as I am the other ones. Demon Slayer is really good. Highly recommend that one too. It's just not one of my favorites. But Blue Exorcist is. So, he is kind of hiding from his classmates that he is part demon. He has to hide his tail and all of this stuff. But he's also using his demon powers to fight other demons. And there's like issues that he has with his twin brother because they're kind of opposites. His twin brother's like a goody two-shoes, very serious, and then he, on the other hand, is like a jokester and a clown dude, and he wants to do well, but at the same time he's like super lazy and he sleeps all the time, and he's like, fucking school, whatever, I can just copy off of you, right? Like that kind of stuff. But it's really good. They make some friends. There's a lot of other stuff that's happening in secret, and I don't know, man, it's really great. It gets super angsty though, because there's 2 different seasons, I think, but they are both different from each other, but also the same. Like, it's weird to describe, but they kind of do like a Full Metal Alchemist kind of thing, where like season 1 came out, but I think the manga wasn't completely done yet, and so the anime just kind of did what it could with the manga and then created some other stuff. But then by the time season 2 was coming out, the manga was already finished, and so in season 2 they actually retcon some stuff, go backwards a little bit in time, and then rewrite some of that stuff that happened so that it fits closer with the manga. It's a little weird that way, but it happens. It's still good to watch both seasons, but it's good to keep in mind also that season 2 kind of goes back in time a little bit and changes some things because of when the manga ended up coming out and getting released. I was stuck on this part like a freaking idiot, let me just say. I was clicking on those guys, I was clicking on them, but I keep forgetting in this game you actually have to pull things, and so don't mind me, I'm gonna be a hot mess for like 5 minutes trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do next, when I literally knew what I was supposed to do next, I just didn't remember how to do it. The next 2 may be slightly controversial. I still really like these anime. They are anime that I will not watch very often though, because they have very heavy, kind of traumatic things in them. I still think they're fantastic anime. I think that they're both really, really great, fantastic anime, but really heavy content. So Berserk. I don't even know how to explain the plot of Berserk. I feel like a lot of people know what Berserk is. If you don't, it's really great. It's a really great, like, fantasy sort of anime. You can either do the 3 movies with the arcs, or you can do the original anime, or you can do the newly revamped anime. So, like, there's 3 different watching experiences for this one that you can see. I've really only seen the movie versions, so there's 3 different movies, but it has all of the same arcs. It just doesn't go into, like, you can watch those 3 movies and then watch the original anime, and it kind of picks up from there, but I haven't seen the original anime yet. I've seen bits of it, but not all of it. The only thing is that there is a massive trigger warning for sexual assault in this, because Casca is one of the main women in the anime, and she's a freaking badass, and I love her. But she has a history of being sexually assaulted before we even meet her, which is part of the reason why she's a badass, because she's like, I will never, like, any man who tries to touch me like that ever again, I will cut off his nether regions, sort of a thing. But there is a scene where she does end up getting raped, and it's not cool, and it's the most difficult part in the entire anime to watch. It makes me cry every time I've ever seen it, and I've only seen this anime twice, because, like, I love the story in total, but that scene, the first time I saw it, I did not know it was in there. I was not expecting it, and I had to pause because I was so distraught with the scene. It was incredibly triggering. It's so fucking difficult to watch. So if you want to watch Berserk, go in there knowing that towards the very end of the movie arcs, in particular in the 3rd movie arc, there's a scene that happens that is that, and it's very, very difficult to sit through. But besides that, it is a fantastic series. I love it. Other than that, like, if they just left that scene out, I would be happier, because it was so fucking difficult to watch. Devilman Crybaby also has some of that stuff in there. That one's a lot shorter. It's also just a really tragic ending in general. Like, it's a really... Devilman Crybaby is a crazy intense ride. Also, so is this right here. With a very sad, hopeless ending. Like, it's such a hopeless anime, and it just... You leave the anime feeling hopeless, which is my only issue with Devilman Crybaby, but it feels very heavy in that sense. So, Devilman Crybaby, super crazy. Would recommend it, but only if you're ready to feel really shitty at the end of it, because that's how it makes you feel. Higurashi is a great one that deals with some kind of time travel-y aspects, but there's also, like, a bunch of insanity. It also gets pretty darn gory. It's these kids that are, like, reliving a span of time over and over again, and it's like 4 days or 5 days or 3 days, something like that. They're just reliving it over and over again, but, like, everything starts off kind of normal, but then towards the end of it, they all start kind of murdering each other, and then once all these people are dead, then it reverts back to the beginning and starts all over again, but it's a little bit different. And so they're kind of trying to find their way out of that once they figure out what's happening. It's really crazy. I think there's 2 seasons. There's this one season where they're all in bikinis, and it's really stupid. Everyone knows what Sword Art Online is. I only recommend the 1st season. 2nd season, they turn Asuna into this little, like, I don't know. They do her super dirty in that one, so don't recommend that one at all. And that's basically my list. Thank you guys so much for joining. Let me know what anime you guys like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!